What's something you wish was illegal just because it personally annoys you? Story 1. Targeted ads. My device is spying on me for said ads, junk emails, junk mail, and lastly, shoot drivers. Story 2. Political advertising. Just let them do debates and town hall meetings, even televise stream them. But ads don't do a darn thing and are just phenomenally annoying. Story 3. Standing in the middle of an aisle. In school, at work, at grocery stores, people for some reason want to block an entire avenue. I have to be there, yet I cannot because you are standing there. Spatial awareness should be mandatory. Answer. The last time I went grocery shopping, there were two older ladies with their carts sort of milling around in circles at the intersection of two aisles and just blocking traffic from all directions. It looked like a skit by the Three Stooges. I just turned around and went the other way. I hope that I do not one day end up baffled by the concept of shopping in a fairly small neighborhood grocery store. Story 4. Playing extremely jacked up music in your car that the entire vehicle just vibrates and sends irritating bass sound waves all around. Story 5. Throw away electronics, or honestly, anything that is a one-time use thing that could otherwise be reused. Story 6. Having kids without taking some sort of exam or passing some kind of financial check to show you're fit financially and emotionally. Story 7. Advertisements for anything, anywhere, especially those directed at children. My kids come to me with their tablets like, "Hey, can I buy this?" And I'm like, "What? The FUCCE?" Story 8. Slow walkers with no medical needs, e.g. people dawdling in groups and blocking the footpath, people looking at their phones, etc. Story 9. Filming dance TikToks in public. Saw someone do one at a historical marker the other day. Stupidest shoot I ever seen. Story 10. Talking loudly and/or filming concerts. I didn't pay for a ticket to hear you talk or not be able to see the act because you're holding your phone up. Answer. I was at a concert a few weeks ago, and the people sitting directly behind me decided to label themselves the back row bandits, and were having full-on loud conversations during songs about the people they had dated or whatever. Then they'd sing along for a moment or two because they knew the intro and chorus, but not the rest of the song, then go back to talking loudly. The vibe of the audience was wine mums who had a few too many vodka cruisers before arriving. And there was even a show-stopping near punch-on in the audience because the singer had a song called Stand, and someone was upset that the audience stood up. Even the singer said not to film between songs because A, it once gave her a panic attack, and B, the phone recordings are shoot anyway. So, what are you going to watch back? A bunch of staticky noise? Story 11. Telemarketers, robocalls, and other scams. Social media trolls and bullies of any kind. People who cut up and act stupid when you're trying to talk about something serious. Story 12. Noisy apartment neighbors. Stomping on the floor above, dogs barking from all directions, music gaming audio too loud after 10 p.m., etc. People basically have no respect or self-awareness or both. Story 13. Owning a firearm without going through months or years or training on how and when to use the thing. There's many trigger-happy folks where I live. Story 14. Purchasing homes to rent out for additional income. Homes should simply be for owners and family friends to live in. Answer. I would vote for this 100 times. I live in a city where it's hard to find a rental that is decently priced, and houses get bought up quickly by rich people or corporations. It's so fudge stupid that people are allowed to have multiple properties. I'm not saying the limit should be 1 or 2 either. I think no more than 3 in one county or state is reasonable. I know people with up to 30 and counting properties that are using them as a retirement plan. Ugh, so gross. Meanwhile, it screws lower SES families. Story 15. Having bass in your car that's so obnoxiously loud it vibrates my window panes 0.5 miles away. I don't mind your speaker systems for the highway, but in residential areas it's quite obnoxious at 7 a.m. Story 16. People not putting their dogs on leashes in public spaces. No, I don't want your dog jumping all over me while I'm sat on a bench trying to relax. Also, not everyone likes dogs. Some people are scared of them, and some are allergic. Story 17. Smoking plant substance in public. I dislike the smell and I dislike the secondhand smoking I get from all the plant substance smokers in the neighborhood. I'm not one to easily think it's better to forbid, but God, what a nuisance. For context, I live in the Netherlands. I think in my street, 1 household 3 has someone smoking weed. It's gross. Early in the morning in train stations too. Blurk. Story 18. Smoking in public spaces where there are non-smokers around, especially for playgrounds and restaurants. Story 19. Virtual receptionists when calling a business department without the immediate option to speak to a representative. Story 20. Children in drinking establishments. They may serve food, but it's still a bar. You're shithead. 7-yo flapping an iPad around in a foam case does not belong within 50 yards of me when I'm trying to tie one on. If they have a house vodka, you and your kids should fudge off. Answer: yes, this. One time I was specifically trying to escape children. I'm in a duplex and these kids were doing laps around my place. I looked on Yelp for someplace not kid-friendly. Found one, not far, cool. When I get there, there is a child at the bar. I get that people need to go places. Drink responsibly with your kids to model it, whatever. Not my problem. There should still be adult places. Story 21. Taking your untrained, loud, and annoying dog everywhere in public. Oh wait, it is illegal to take it in most places. People are just ignorant of the law. Story 22. Revving your piece of shit car next door obsessively for minutes, and doing so almost every day, multiple times a day. It's an old, trashy Honda Civic, so I just keep hoping he's gonna blow a gasket or break a rod valve. I don't know why people think it's okay to do this. Not only is it rude and annoying as shoot, but it's so bad for your car. It did break down a while ago and was, I suppose, in the shop for months, but it's back now and he hasn't learned his lesson. Story 23. When people don't include the size when posting clothes or shoes online for sale. Like meanie, how do I know if this fits? It just makes me so mad even though it's really not that serious. But come on. Story 24. Commercials louder than the programming. Has the opposite effect for me. I immediately mute it or turn the channel. Story 25. Leaving shopping carts right in the middle of a parking spot. I literally dislike that. Like, if you don't want to return your shopping cart to the proper place, fine. But then, why the hell would you leave your cart right in the middle of a parking spot? Yeah, this really annoys me, LOL. Story 26. Scalpers. So many hobbies are ruined because some dickhead who has no interest sussed out, they can make a few extra bucks buying a game console, model train, or Pokemon cards. Story 27. People self-diagnosing themselves as autistic, especially through social media, and then they make it their entire personality. Story 28. Loud mufflers tuned to be loud and all crotch rocket motorcycles. If I was king of the forest, I would fine them all $25,000 for every offense for hurting my ears. Also, fireworks. Story 29. Honestly, paparazzi, it's an invasion of privacy, harassment, threats to public safety, etc. It either needs to be banned or highly regulated. Just saw on Reddit tonight about paparazzi trying to take up skirt photos of Emma Watson the day she turned 18. Story 30. Well, it's illegal, but seems allowed, but all the LED lights under vehicles, as well as odd colored lights in the front and back. Story 31. Uber drivers attempting to make small talk when they literally have nothing to say, and the passenger has earbuds in and their face fully in their phone. A driver picked me up from the movie theater, waited 30 seconds, and then said, "Did you go see a movie?" It took everything in me not to reply sarcastically. Story 32. People saying that ignorant word all of a sudden, bro, bruh, brah, fudge, irritating as hell. I dislike social media. Story 33. Green stuff. I constantly see people smoking and driving. I don't know why people think it's okay to drive impaired. Anyone that says, I drive just fine when I'm high, is just an addict. Story 34. Driving below the speed limit. Situationally, of course, sometimes there's a good reason for it. I mean, really, guys, it's a street for driving on, not a crowded parking lot. Story 35. Smoking while walking. God, it's so difficult to walk behind them with all the smoke coming to your face. Story 36. Junk mail. The USPS is overwhelmed? There should be a no-mail list similar to the no-call list, and any company who attempts to send mail to someone on the no-mail list should be charged $1 per mail piece and have it RTS. Story 37. Walls, floors, and ceilings in apartment complexes that aren't soundproof. I really don't like hearing my upstairs neighbors stomp around and do loud things. Sometimes, it almost seems like they're bowling because of how loud they are. I mean, like, I constantly hear things fall in their apartment or something and hearing their conversations. Story 38. Those tacky, cheeky, I will shoot you for trespassing signs. It's your right to protect your home against intruders, but it's not something to kid about, and no gun owner should ever hope to have to use their weapon in self-defense. Keep it in case you need it, and hope you never do. Story 39. Using your phone sound in public spaces, including offices. You can hear the vibration on your desk on the other side of the floor. You don't need to give me a heart attack with your ringtone each and every time. And don't get me started on binge scrolling in public transport on full volume. Use headphones or turn off the sound. Story 40. Revving their engines late at night just to wake people. I live out in a semi-urban area, and late at night I can hear cars in the distance driving down the nearby state highway being unnecessarily loud at late hours of the night. Story 41. I know it's illegal in some areas, but driving under the speed limit in the fast lane should be eligible for capital punishment. Story 42. Performance motorcycles. I wish they were only legal on racetracks and illegal to ride past my home. Story 43. When someone stops as oncoming traffic to be nice and let you turn left, that shoots stupid and can get someone eliminated. It happens in Vermont every single day. Story 44. Plant substance. I dislike the smell of it, and everywhere I go, it always stinks of it. My neighbor uses it and it wafts into my house. I'm tired of hearing about all the fake uses and medical cures. I find people who use it pathetic. Story 45. Standing in front of the door of the elevator in the lobby when it comes down should be straight to jail. Story 46. Blue lights on any vehicle that isn't actually an emergency response vehicle. I'm so tired of wreckers with blue lights. Story 47. When I'm halfway through saying something and the person I'm talking to finishes my story with something that is not at all what I was saying. Story 48. Driving without headlights. Cars should have always-on front backlights on with effort to turn them off. Story 49. Putting your stuff down at an empty table before getting in line when there's a long line at a coffee shop or cafe. For fudge's sake, the people ahead of you in line arrive before you, and paying customers should have table priority over those that just walked in. So darn rude. Story 50. Making money off of any social media profile where your content is literally just making stupid faces and acting like a 5-year-old. Mini Naranja, for example. Story 51. Getting to the counter and not knowing what you want to order at a restaurant. All that time in line, figure it out. Story 52. Distributing corn of characters that are minors. They may not be real people, but the intent is there. BFFR. Story 53. Super loud commercials. I dislike listening to something, and out of nowhere a loud ad comes and hurts my poor ears. Story 54. Being in and associating in a street gang or organized crime network. That should be an automatic denial of civil rights, rescission of citizenship, incarceration, and/or deportation. These people are not trying to better themselves or contribute to society. They are wicked and made their choice to commit to a life of evil. Story 55. Standing in the middle of an aisle having a chat whilst blocking other people except for a smidge. I'm not a violent man, but I would be for that. Story 56. Those LED signs outside of businesses and schools that are as bright as a stadium light at night and blind you driving or come through the bedroom window. Story 57. When other drivers hold out their hand while they are doing something, shoot like cutting you off, as if that makes it okay. Story 58. Talking on speakerphone while in a public bathroom. Do I flush? Does that interrupt their conversation? If I hear what's being said, is it eavesdropping? Does one hold back, other sounds that may happen while using the bathroom? Why is this even a thing? Story 59. People who stop at the top or bottom of escalators. I mean, Simon. There are a bazillion people, right? Behind you. Story 60. Driving in the passing lane if you're not passing, or going 80 miles per hour. I know it's technically illegal, but try it in Europe and you'll get ticketed. Story 61. It is illegal, I just wish it was enforced. Cutting in line at a red light. There is an intersection near my house where it's almost guaranteed that some jerk, every time the light turns green, is going to fly up the right lane, past the line of cars waiting for the left turn, and then at the possible second, cut over to the leftmost lane to take the turn. Story 62. If you're driving and more than half a dozen cars are behind you, you should legally have to pull over to let them pass. I live in rural Australia where some roads between major towns are windy, hilly, and frequently used. It's not uncommon to be stuck behind a car doing 70 kilometers in a 100 kilometer zone with a dozen cars stuck behind them. Trucks and tractors are pretty decent about it, either pulling over or using their indicators' hands to let you know it's safe to pass, but your everyday car is dog shit about it. Story 63. When people don't even attempt to move over a little when walking opposite you in a hallway or sidewalk. Story 64. Direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical advertising. Not only does it annoy me, but it is bad public policy. Story 65. I wish it were illegal to vote without taking a test on your understanding of the policies that your candidate endorses so that you fully understand what you're voting for instead of just voting to feel like you did some shoot that day. Story 66. Smoking pot in apartment buildings. My entire home reeks right now, and there's nothing I can do about it because it's someone else's smoke from another unit, and I can't even tell which one. I'm gonna feel like shoot for the rest of the night because someone else can't figure out edibles or vapes. Story 67. All flights are now 18. I'm tired of my seat being kicked by 10-year-olds. They don't even have the excuse of not enough leg room. And I feel bad for the very small children who are in pain because they can't equalize the pressure in their ears and cry on takeoff and landing. Story 68. Setting alarms for 6U, 6:05, 6.10, 6.15, and so on, and letting all of them go off. Firing squad at dawn. Story 69. Scalping reselling. The concept of creating a scarcity market and selling the product you're hoarding at higher prices is ridiculous to me, especially with the profit not being sustainable enough to justify the effort. I see it across communities and for a variety of the most random things. Story 70. Stopping at the top or bottom of an escalator. One good thing that came from COVID was keeping a 3-step distaste. Story 71. D. Money in politics. Publishers eliminate video games, planned obsolescence in everything, intentionally poisoning people, ruining the ecosystem, sabotaging the country by dismantling everything and replacing with cronies and swamp creatures, stealing people's data and the current state of corporate surveillance and manipulation. Story 72. Not moving over on the highway. I don't care how fast you are, you should always be as close to the exit lane as possible. Good drivers move over. Bad drivers sit in all lanes going slow. Story 73. Driving past a line of cars and cutting into the turning lane instead of waiting your turn. I know all of you reading this have done it. Jesus sees you. Story 74. Text messages from people and organizations that are not in my contacts. Even though I have my phone settings pretty nice, I still get spam emails complete with the alert as though they are from people I know. Story 75. When a small car parks in between two big cars, so it looks like there's an open spot when there's really not. Story 76. Two semis next to each other on a 2-lane highway, with one passing the other at a speed of 2 inches per millennia. Story 77. People playing music loudly at the beach. I didn't come to listen to your shoot music. I came to turn off and listen to the waves, hear dogs barking and kids laughing. Story 78. Playing something on your phone out loud in public without any headphones on. Ish. I'm so fudge sick of hearing that TikTok voiceover. Story 79. Eating, drinking, and going to the bathroom while talking on the phone. I have spent a long time in customer service, and nothing makes me want to hang up faster. Story 80. The Amish riding horses and buggies on public roads. If I go 5 minutes in a 50-meter zone in my car, I'll get a fudge ticket. Story 81. Pouring coffee or hot drinks out of the driver's side window. Throwing rocks at moving vehicles. Got poured coffee on while driving on a highway. The driver did it multiple times even after I switched to exit lane. Story 82. Smoking. I once came out of a fire evacuation at work. About 100 people assembled and a group of 30 smokers decide that's the time to go upwind and start smoking. People shouldn't be allowed to endanger other people's lives just because they don't care about their own. Same with the people that fudge us all over during COVID. Story 83. Fucking bright jerk LED headlights on cars, and oversized yay jerk trucks. Goddamn oversized yay jerk trucks with those fudge jerk bright LED headlights. It doesn't just annoy me, it's blinding at night. If you have astigmatism too, well, fudge you and fudge your ability to see. I genuinely think lack of regulation on this matter is dangerous, but I'm pissed off, especially because I had to drive after sundown tonight and had a jerk hat with the fudge headlights blinding me through my side mirrors to the point I had to adjust them to not die. Story 84. Being on your phone in a movie theater. We rarely go anymore because of this one annoying thing ruins it for me every time. Story 85. Smoking. It stinks, and they always throw their butts on the ground. Problem being, I don't want tobacco to become the new plant substance and make it a prohibition thing with tobacco smugglers making it look cool. Story 86. When I see people that are clearly addicted to adult beverage and they've committed many crimes just by being very tipsy, and they continue to have and create all sorts of problems while constantly drinking, it makes me think. At a certain point, after a certain amount of criming while tipsy, I do believe some of these people should end up getting a new ID with more restrictions. For example, this ID could indicate even though this person is of age, they're not eligible to purchase or consume adult beverage. Perhaps some people can get around it easily, but I do believe most serious addicts would simply drink a lot less. Story 87. Cigarettes. Fudge those stupid shoot-smelling things. I want to never smell another one in my life. I want to never have to pick up another fudge stranger's cigarette butt ever again in my life. Story 88. Smoking. The smell of it turns my stomach. And this is coming from someone who smoked for years. Poacher turned gamekeeper up in this piece. Story 89. Listening to loud music that can be heard in neighboring apartments during the day. I dislike I cannot sue a particular neighbor and have him kicked out of his apartment. Story 90. Singing along at the theater, unless it's allowed. I didn't pay $75 for you to warble your way through the circle of life. I want to hear the performers. Story 91. Using your smartphone's loudly instead of using headphones in public. I don't care for what purpose. TikTok, calls, you just should use a headphone. You have your noise. Everyone else, their silence. Story 92. People jamming up parking lots because they are waiting with their blinkers for someone loading their car. Walk 50 extra feet, peels you lazy, selfish American instead of blocking and wasting time of 20 vehicles. Story 93. People who have zero spatial awareness, blocking aisles in shops or stopping in the middle of the path. Straight to jail with you. Story 94. Not returning carts to the cart corral in the parking lot and pushing them all the way in so they are stacked properly. Story 95. Taylor Swift's music career and just her status as a celebrity. I just don't like her or her PR relationship. Story 96. Recording people without their consent. Actually, it's a public place. You don't have the legal right to privacy. And that's messed up. Story 97. I wish the police would enforce no smoking plant substance outside in public places here. It's not enforced, and it's annoying to walk right behind someone who is smoking. Story 98. Auto-tune. If you can't sing, do something else for a living. A fudge computer singing for you is not singing. If you actually have something worth singing about anyway, but don't have the best voice, your lyrics should sell the music. Just ask Bob Dylan or Tom Waits. But the people who can't sing and whose computer-generated voice is spewing out some bullshit their criminal pedophile manager-producer wrote for them? Nobody fudge needs that. Story 99. 0 to 16-year-old can, not procession, access, use, etc. any cellular device, laptop, tablet, etc., except in an emergency. Solve tons of issues. Story 100. Cigarette smoking. It stinks up everything and causes cancer. It literally serves no purpose but to make nicotine addicts temporarily happy. Story 101. The ability to recline your seat in economy. There should be a constitutional amendment against this. Story 102. Light pollution. It's so normalized that no one cares about it. But if you go to an actually dark sky area of the planet, you will feel absolutely robbed that humans don't get to experience that. Story 103. Everyone complaining about literal crimes while I'm thinking, isn't that already illegal? I'm too European for this thread. Story 104. Having loud conversations in the break room. Yes, I know, go sit in your car or elsewhere. This post was to address things that personally annoy me, and this is definite. Our break room is tiny and I want to decompress. Hell, one of my co-workers naps. I consider it a quiet place. Obviously, not everyone agrees. Story 105. Family channels on social media. It's horrible to do that to kids. People FaceTiming in the bathroom. Story 106. Wearing perfume. If everyone could wear it responsibility, then I wouldn't care. But some PPL think it's okay to just bathe in a vat of perfume, and those PPL ruin it for everyone. Story 107. Menus where pressing down at the bottom of the menu doesn't take you to the top. Ditto for the other direction. Story 108. Willful ignorance. Deliberately choosing to ignore the facts simply because you don't like them makes you subhuman. Story 109. Kids and teenagers riding golf carts like they own the place. It's so fudge, annoying, and dangerous. Story 110. Restaurants, gas stations that are on highway exit signs, but you get off on the exit ramp and the sign says it's more than 2 or 3 miles away. If you want a sign on the highway, half mile from the ramp at most, 1 mile if there are no red lights. Story 111. Music snobbery. Show movie spoilers. Obnoxiously loud music in public, coming out of cars, cell phones, etc. And I just realized these are all about boundaries.